Good afternoon, this is Jeff with Sewer Tech Northwest. Today we're at property address 2740 Northeast Davis Court here in McMinnville. We're located at the front of the home. We're just off to the right of the front doorway, right just about 6 inches to the left of where the hose bib is at. We have a 3-inch ABS cleanout as our point of access. I'm going to insert the camera and check the overall condition and serviceability of the sanitary sewer line. We currently have water running. Looks like it transitions here to 4-inch ABS and then immediately over to 4-inch PVC pipe. Again, we have water running. Here we go. We do have some standing water right here. We'll take a look at this on the way back out. It's a really short section of pipe there that will probably drain out to a pretty minimal amount. Typically, I recommend repairs, or my breaking point with bellies in the line, or once you have at least 5 feet of pipe with at least 1 inch of standing water, static, no water running inside, that is where I tend to start seeing toilet paper collecting the line. Any belly smaller than that, it is entirely controlled by the homeowner for the most part, whether or not debris hangs up there. Usually anything, even at that point of 5 feet with 1 inch of water, even at that point it's still quite livable. You just got to make sure you're not putting paper towels down the line and bacon grease down the kitchen sink, stuff that shouldn't be going down the sewer line. Alright. It looks like we have one seriously big root intrusion right here. I can't tell if this, I'm going to go locate and see where the camera's at here currently. I think we're just at a transition point. It almost looks like it's hitting the main lateral here, but I'm going to go locate and see where this is at. Alright, located the camera head successfully. The line comes up this right side of the garage, then crosses over underneath the driveway to the left side of the property, and then heads out to the road from there. Right now we are right where the front yard meets the sidewalk. I'm picking the locate up here about barely 6 inches into the up underneath the sidewalk area, so just under the edge of it basically. We're about 6 feet 6 inches deep here. Now, because this is right at the sidewalk, you want to check with the city, because I do believe that McMinnville, I believe the right-of-way here is the sidewalk. It might be the curb, and I'm pretty sure the city takes responsibility for the line out in that area there. And being right at the sidewalk, that might be right where the responsibility changes hands. So I would recommend looking into that. I've got it marked with a big white X out there. Unfortunately, I've just tried ramming my camera past this point here. It's not clearing over the root intrusion, unfortunately. So this is as far as we're going to be able to get here. I highly recommend a spot repair here to correct this. This is one of those situations where you might be able to trim the roots out of the line. As best I can tell, it looks like the line keeps on draining okay after this, but we can't, unfortunately, see that at this point. I'm going to try one more time to punch through this thing here. Anyway, being where it's at on the sidewalk, you may want to look into a pipeliner, but if it's which doesn't require any digging, but you'll have to contact the city. If it's their responsibility, it'll be up to them to figure out how to correct it. Either way, I recommend a spot repair to fix this. It's a very large root intrusion coming through the line, and my guess is we probably, and I think looking down the line further, I can see more roots dangling from the top of the pipe. Look just beyond this root, you can see stuff hanging from the top there. So there's at least another root intrusion after this point here. So definitely want to try and get a rescope. If the city takes responsibility from this point now, it's kind of up to them to check that out. For the most part in McMinnville, I believe that everything on property is homeowner responsibility, and it changes hands near the street. And we're going to go ahead and reel the camera back in here. The line's all drained out now. That transition point up there where the roots were coming through, it was switching to 6-inch concrete pipe there, it looks like. There's two fairly large, there's one decent sized tree and then a bush even closer to where that root's coming in at. It's a woody bush, which have pretty significant root systems. So it's one of those two trees there. But those transition points like that where you're meeting up two different materials is a very, very common spot for roots to come through. The reason I like the pipeliner technique is you get a fair amount of overlap over the joint there, and it tends to protect the roots, at least in my experience, better than the average transition using a rubber fern coat. It's a fairly easy thing for roots to penetrate if you don't have a bunch of root barrier and stuff around it. This is that spot here I was mentioning earlier where we had some standing water. This joint here, I think the way they had to put it together is why we have that little tiny lip there. That joint still looks like it's butted up nice and tight. It's causing, barely a quarter of an inch of standing water there for a few feet. That is not something that's concerning there at all. The only thing that's going to stick in that spot there, other than grease going down the line, is something that's going to hang up anywhere else in the pipe. Now we're just about to reel the camera out of the line. We'll run the camera back into the house here real quick. Everything we just scoped, though, from the clean out to the root intrusion, though, is in good shape and is functioning properly at this time. That's the end of the line there, what we can scope. Again, really teeny tiny, we're talking like a 1/16 of an inch or less of water there. It's nothing even concerning. Anyway, up to 65 feet where the root intrusion's at, all the pipe looks good and is functioning properly at this time. From that root intrusion out, if you can, I try to get the rest of it scoped just so you can see the condition. Again, I do believe McMinnville, the city, takes total responsibility at least either at the sidewalk or at the curb, and from that point out is likely the city's responsibility anyway. But being that it's right on that edge of that responsibility change there, you definitely want to get a hold of the city and find out who is in fact responsible for that root intrusion. Again, that's marked at 6 feet 6 inches deep, up just barely underneath the sidewalk there. I've got a big white X on the ground. And then get a rescope done afterwards, make sure the repair looks good.